Morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday and to the Namaste experience. Yay. Let's get it up for the Namaste experience. We can be somber, we can be serious, or we can celebrate. I think this is a good time to celebrate because there's something that is moving and stirring and awakening within us that is so bright and so glorious. And how can you be somber in that? You can be quiet and rest in God. Yes, that's very important. But to hold back my energy rather than letting it shine. The peace of God is shining in me now. When I realize it's happening right now, how can I be anything other than completely filled with joy and let that joy overflow to everyone in every moment, no matter what? We've got interesting characters all around us, playing their roles, wearing their costumes, and I say, yay! Especially when you live in a community like Namaste Village. There's interesting people abound. And I'm sure that's true in all of your lives as well. A few of us used to live in a community in Wisconsin. Vicky and Teddy and Amrit, who is here, I for 2 years, and talk about interesting characters abounding. But that's what happens when the light begins to break through. We let go of the conventions and the need to hold ourselves within a certain container. And we just, you could say, let the freak flag fly. Just let it fly. I mean, who cares? Who cares what it looks like or what people think? Let them talk. Because they're probably talking because they're feeling something, and it's challenging their own freedom and their own need to hold that container tight. It's challenging their own need to let it all shine, to realize that the peace of God is shining in me right now. And when we allow ourselves to express that, others feel that. I know when Jet comes here in the morning, there's always like this little group because he's so vibrant and he's so alive, and people just are drawn to that. People are drawn to us when our hearts are on fire. That's what this is meant to be, not somber and serious. We're not studying anything here. That's why we try to keep these lessons short, focused, to the point. Yes, we do need to feed that part of us that is looking for something, but only with just morsels, not with a whole theology. Do you realize that theology is actually the denial of God? What is theology? Theology is the study of God. Right. You can't study something unless it's what? Separate. So if I'm trying to study God, my relationship with God, the divine, whatever it may be, however it presents itself, I'm putting it outside. That's the difference between theology and mysticism. Mysticism is entering into the heart of the experience itself. And when we enter into that experience, words just begin to fade. You don't need the words anymore because it's the experience itself that's being enlivened within us. And if you find yourself more and more getting to the point where the words just don't suffice, the words just aren't there anymore, or there's a space between the words. I hear people, we've talked about this before, the whole senior moment thing. There's senior like you're getting older, and then there's senior like you're about to graduate. That's what that really is. That's the senior moment that you're having. The space between your thoughts gets larger and larger till you can't hold them together. You can't sequence things in the same way, right? And that means you're getting ready to lift. How does a balloon that is weighted down lift off the ground. It has to start throwing off all the different weights that are keeping it from soaring. And that's what we're doing. When we just enter into this experience, it's like throwing off the weight of that which does not need to be anymore. We actually use all of these concepts, all of these ideas, everything that we value, we use it all to keep grounded. We're always told, stay grounded, stay here on this planet, in this experience. I say, throw the weights off and soar. Throw the weights off and lift above the world that you have only imagined and fly into the world where you truly are. You know, we were talking at the breakfast table here at Namaste Village about two words that I said yesterday: divine indifference. Indifference is something that we're told, oh, that's bad. You don't want to be indifferent. But divine indifference indicates a focus. It indicates me wanting only one thing. And the tighter that focus becomes, it's not like we're rejecting anything else. It's just we're indifferent to it. Let it go. Let it play itself out. Let whatever's happening in the world play itself out. The pandemic, the politics, whatever it may be. Let it play itself out. It's perfect. There's a lot of P's: pandemic, perfection, and politics. Let all the P's play themselves out. Just relax into that divine indifference of only one desire. There's only one thing I want. The peace of God is shining in me now. And if I could allow that one focus to be true, then it reveals that which is true within me. So maybe this lesson is just about letting it go. How many of you still watch the news once in a while? I'll raise my hand. Yeah. And it's okay. It's not like you shouldn't. It's just, how are you watching it? Or do you use it to get pulled in? Sometimes, yes. Or do we use it to bless, to just look at whatever's happening and say, good on you, bless you. Whoever it may be, whatever it may be, whatever's happening, just to see through what it seems to be and to bless what is true, to see through and to bless what is true. If you're going to watch the news, let that be the reason. That was something that Michael Beckwith said to me years ago. He said, I watch the news all the time, but I use it as an opportunity to pray. And that's, well, what a beautiful thing. To always be in prayer, to pray without ceasing. Praying without ceasing, just all it really means is that my mind is always focused on what is true, what is whole, what is love. So we're going to dive back into that today. We're talking about the miracle this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about the miracle in our third episode. So let me go ahead and share the screen. And we'll see where we're going today. Okay, so the miracle part 3. Here we go. This is all about value.
Don't go anywhere.
Uh-oh. I promise I won't go anywhere. Whoever just said that. Here we go. Give total value to the miracle. Give total value to the miracle, for this is how you realize that which has given total value to you. When you give total value to the miracle, you realize your own total value, not your partial value, not your value only when you're on it. Here we go. Joy. Okay, I got you muted now. You're filling the room with joy, Joy. So once again, give total value to the miracle, for this is how you realize that which has given total value to you. And that's what we're here to do, is to realize that and then share it. Your value as the holy, perfect child of God cannot be overstated. Your value cannot be overstated. It is beyond all estimation, since it has no equal in this world. Your true value has no equal in this world. Your true value lies beyond this world, in the heaven where you really are. In the heaven where you really are, not in the illusions where you are not. Your value is not here. Your value is in where you are in truth, in reality. Call it heaven, call it whatever you want, Shangri-La, I don't care what you call it, but feel it, welcome it, allow it. Does it help you to know that your reality lies in a world very different from the one you find yourself in now? The you claim in time and space is really nothing more than the projection of an idea. This is important. The you that you claim, who you think you are, is really nothing more than a projection. It's the projection of a thought or an idea or a concept. The thought that you could be isolated and alone. The thought that you could be separate. Okay? If this is true, that the you that you have claimed is not your reality, then there must be another version of you, though version is not really the right word since you are truly one with all exists. There must be another version of you that is not isolated or alone. Indeed, your true self that exists beyond time and space. That's who you are, the truth of who you are beyond time and space. You can continue to hide in this world as long as you want, and that's fine. But when you begin to realize that this is not your true home, why would you stay? And you're beginning to realize that, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here. You would say, what a bunch of nonsense, and you would have either walked out or turned off the Zoom, shut off the computer. If you weren't here on purpose, if you weren't called here for some reason, if you weren't ready, you wouldn't be here. If you weren't ready to realize the truth of who you are. Where did I leave off? Okay, you cannot claim, let me go back. You can continue to hide in this world as long as you want, but when you begin to realize that this is not your true home, why would you stay? You cannot claim to not know what is known within you for very long, because knowing something, especially this, brings with it a longing for the return. When you know, when you have an experience, the Namaste experience, when you begin to experience that I'm in the matrix, this is not really where I am. And we've said this before, that the difference between the matrix, leaving the matrix and go into the real world in the movie, and here in this regard, in the movie, you go to a kind of hell. The real world is a kind of hell, underground, pipes everywhere. In reality, leaving here is the release from hell. For most of us, we were told, if you're not good, you're going to go to hell. Look around you. I mean, look at what's happening in the world. But all of it's happening, conspiring to wake you up. Much like when you're dreaming and you've been asleep too long, you've been sleeping, maybe it's a Saturday morning, you're sleeping until 10, 11 o'clock, longer than you normally would. Your brain starts to create chaos in the dream in order to wake you up. Do you know what I mean? Chaotic dreams start to happen. Weird things are happening all around you. And all they're really saying is wake up, wake up, wake up. Do you think it's possible that this is the same thing? I do. I know so. Okay. You cannot claim to not know what is known within you for very long, since knowing something, especially this, brings with it a longing for the return. That's the key. A longing for the return to grace. It is this longing that drives you. It is this longing that draws your mind and heart back to me, back to the I am. And it is this longing for the home you never left, except in your imagination, that stirs the memory of the love that created you and calls for your return. The longing. Let's talk about that for a moment. You all know it. We all feel it. Sometimes we call it the human condition. A kind of dissatisfaction, that's at the root or the foundation. We're always trying to feed that. We feed it with money, with food, with sex, with drugs, and hope that one day I'm going to be able to get enough of whatever it is I think that I'm trying to get. Look at the richest people in the world. Do you think any of them get to the point where they say, okay, I've got enough. Let's just relax now? No, very rare. There's never enough, because if you're trying to feed that longing with wealth, with possessions, with money, there's not enough wealth or money in the world that will get you there. And that's why if you live in a neighborhood like we do here in Mexico, you look around yourself and you see simple Mexican families smiling, happy, content. Yes, they blare their music too loud. Yes, they let their dogs bark all the time, but that's for me to deal with. If you look at the families, there is a joy and a contentedness that someone who is uber wealthy would long to experience. So you're never going to be able to fill that longing with anything outside yourself. That's because the solution is within. The only place you're going to find true, soulful satisfaction is within you, through the I am presence. That's all this is saying. Stop looking outside, hold still, look within, and then celebrate the return. What happened when the prodigal son decided he couldn't do this anymore? At this point, he would have been happy to eat what the pigs were eating. So he decides, even the servants in my father's house eat better than me. I'll go back there, I'll throw myself at his feet and beg to be made one of his servants. At least I'll be eating. At least I'll have somewhere to sleep. So the son begins the long return. What happens when the father sees him from a long distance? He goes out to meet him. And what does he do next? He throws a party. Now, Vicky, who is the chairman of the party division, is not here today, so I'm sure she would enjoy hearing that. But that's what we're talking about. Celebrate this, celebrate the return, celebrate the knowledge that you found the answer to that longing. Because you know now, finally, that it's not going to be satisfied with a relationship, with money, with anything outside you. It's only going to be satisfied by realizing there's nothing outside you. It's only going to be satisfied by realizing there's only one thing that you really, really want, and that you are home now. What else could there be? Let's take a deep breath for a moment. Those are a lot of words. All they're really saying is welcome home. Welcome home. Let's celebrate the return to grace, the return to love. This is what you've always wanted. This is what you've been searching for. And here it is. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing higher, nothing lower. Only now. Welcome home. I'm going to call on Alice. Alice is our pinch hitter. We've got people like Alice and Calico and Baraka who are great pinch hitters when we need a hit. We need to drive someone home, right? That's baseball talk, right? When someone's on third base and you really need to drive them home, what do? You get a pinch hitter in there because you know they're going to get a hit. They're going to drive that person home. So Alice, take it away.
You're in a great mood today, Jimmy. James, You were talking about divine indifference. I mean, and I was thinking that when you put the name divine in front of something, it's the same as putting the word holy in front of something. And it changes everything. Holy indifference, divine indifference is very different than just indifference, because that's the miracle. It's the change of mind about something, and I love putting holy in front of a word, in front of a definition, because it changes everything, and that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about that. And also you started talking about celebration. I'm sure all of you have heard the joke about the monk that's celibate. Have you heard this joke? Okay, since you're in a funny mood, I'm going to tell a joke. And maybe some of you have heard about this joke. Well, there was a monk, and he was a celibate monk, and he never understood why he had to be celibate to be holy. He just never understood that, but he did what he was told. So when he died, he went to the Hall of Records to find out, why do we have to be celibate to be holy? So he looked things up, and he looked things up, and he looked things up. And he found the answer to this. And he looked at it and he said, to be holy, you must celebrate. Oh, heck. They left out the R.
They forgot the R.
So there's my holy joke for today.
I have heard that. That is a funny one. They forgot the R. It's the same as saying that we forgot to laugh. There was this joke that was told, like, imagine just for a moment that you're separate. No. It was just a joke. No, come back. And we wander off and begin creating the world. We forgot to laugh at the joke.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's just a joke, not in a bad way, in an impossible way. The world that you have tried to create, where everything is fighting and challenged, we can see through it at any moment. That's the longing that we're feeling, to see through that world to the real world. Once again, it's like walking down the street of an old Western town and thinking that you're in a real town, instead of realizing that they're just facades. There's nothing behind them. Calico, are you out there? Would you like to share anything?
I'm here, and I'm just enjoying the laughter and the jokes. The miracle defined by A Course in Miracles is my ability at any time to change my mind. That's the miracle. It's not a miracle in form, it's a miracle in my mind. And I know we were talking this morning of many things. It's always an interesting conversation in the morning. And one of the things I mentioned, and I really get this, is so true for myself, because I do feel like I'm a happy learner at this point. And I live in community primarily because there's so many opportunities to change my mind. Oh, they're so loud, and why do they do this? And those are just what I call broken shoelaces in my mind. They're the blocks that keep me from really just having a good time. And I just got notification from my bot. How are you feeling? And I'm feeling fabuloso. I know, in Mexico, there's a toilet cleaner called Fabuloso, and I'm sorry that they took that name, because I am fabuloso. And maybe it is because I'm cleaning my toilet on a regular basis. The toilet is my mind that doesn't love. And it's always, always my stuff to clear. If I have an upset or anything other than love, there's some work I need to do to clean it. And it's and that's all I do here really in community. My single purpose is to experience the peace of God always, without opposite, for no other reason other than it's my primary purpose. So anything that happens here, if I have a judgment, no matter how small, in fact, I think it's easier to deal with the small ones, because it's like, well, that's silly. And the divine indifference, so it takes me back to divine indifference. I've lived my life with a lot of indifference in my ego mind, but my ego mind always had indifference like, oh, they have nothing to offer me. And then there was a push away. Divine indifference is my willingness to see that there's something there that isn't loving and take it to God. Pray for my ability to change my mind and see this differently, because that's the only miracle I'm interested in this point, is clearing up the muck of my mind, because that's what has created all the suffering in my life, has been me judging something. And you know, I love the politics, I can't remember, politics, perfection, and one other one you mentioned earlier. And it's like, you know, even perfection, my idea of, unless it's divine perfection, the idea of perfection is my ego has used that a lot. Oh, this is perfect. And then something happens and it changes. And it's like, well, this isn't perfect. And it's kind of like really getting the nuances of how my ego will take me down a dark alley every opportunity. And so, you know, I am wanting divine indifference. I don't want to push anything away. I want to bring it in and celebrate. Oh, great. I have an opportunity for a miracle. I can change my mind about this. So as always, James, thank you so much. And thank you all to all of you here, because as you said, everyone that shows up here every morning has a huge willingness. And it's like, that's what it has to start with, because without my willingness, well, I would have been dead from cancer a long time ago. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Calico. Yes, willingness, just be willing. Even if your mind is actively rebelling against everything you're hearing, just be willing to consider the possibility that this is true, that only love is real. I mean, why wouldn't you want to consider that possibility? There's nothing more joyful, there's nothing better to celebrate than the possibility that only love is real. And if only love is real, then anything that seems to be not love is not real, is not. Just be willing. That's what cracks the door open. And when the door cracks open, the light begins to stream in. And finally, you can see. You can't see in a dark room where there's no light, but your willingness is the thing that cracks open that door. So I am willing today to see through the facade that I have created to block the flow of grace in my life. I am willing to consider the reality that is always real within me, the wholeness that is always whole. I am willing to see everyone as my savior, not my opponent. I am willing to love even in situations where it's hardest to love. I am willing. Amen. All right. George, did you have something very short to say?
Yes, I had to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Back in the Seminary of Spiritual Peacemaking, you taught us a basic truth that's very wonderful that I've lived my life by: surrender, trust, and gratitude. And I've used that the past year during my cancer journey. Surrender to the doctors and the nurses, surrender to God, surrender the process. trust that's all going to be okay, and be in gratitude. Well, this past week, I've been writing some notes down for a talk I'm giving at my church, X-Church. And I've been changing the word trust to knowing, as you shared about in the reading today. To know, not to hope, not to have faith, not to trust, but to know. And so God said to me, turn it around. So now I've turned that statement around to say gratitude first for everything. Gratitude, knowing the truth of who I am, that I am loved, that I am abundant, I am a child of God. And then I surrender to everything because I already know it. And I'm grateful for it ahead of time. And that felt, when that came to me, it was like, I love that. That's powerful. So I wanted to share that if it might help anybody today. Be in gratitude first for whatever's coming your way, even if you don't know what it is. Know the truth of who you are and surrender to it.
Whatever works. That's what I say. Play with it. Make it a game. If you hear something and if one little shifts it in your heart, go with it. There's nothing gospel to what I'm saying or what anyone else is saying. It's all according to what allows it to hit within your mind. And if turning something around does that, great. Thank you, George. Thanks to all of you here at Namaste Village. We're shining our light on all of you here who are on the Zoom call or watching on YouTube. We're so grateful to have this opportunity every morning to join and to celebrate together. So let's go ahead and we'll do our final prayer, our prayer of protection. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. Blessings to you.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.
Love everyone.
Thank you. Thank